In this episode of Service Please, I'll be talking with Peigh Asante, a man of many lives, constantly at the forefront and getting in the mixer on all the projects in which he's part of, with a level of charisma and energy that is paramount. Peigh struck a recording deal at an early age with New Brand Flex. That band was part of a pioneering genre of music, which today is a large and active part of the cultural tapestry within the UK. Peigh continues to be at the forefront when it comes to community building, suffering from a knee injury which stopped him from completing his 12th marathon in 1 year. The doctors told him to swim, something he didn't know how to do. Fast forward, he's now co-founder of Swim Dem Crew, an inner city swimming community, changing the lives of the people that enter the water with it, and being the voice from inner city swimmers for brands like Puma, Nike and Speedo. His talents, though, hold no bounds as he turned his attention to the advertising and creative industry, starting this journey with Wynand & Kennedy, the company best known for the Nike campaign, Just Do It. Fast forward again, and he's now one of the most respected freelance creators in London, working with all the household names like the BBC, McDonald's, Nike, Netflix, United Nation, Android, and of course many, many more. His latest endeavour, in which he's co-founder, is Trap Fruits. Birthed just before the pandemic, this is Peigh's first food venture, turning late night, early morning trips to the fruit and veg market to get some deals into a fruit subscription service. Let's see where that goes. So, really excited to be here today with you, which is a bit of a vibe, really.
Yeah.
It's been a mad journey for watching this all take place and happen and start and grow and progress. And it's just really nice to be here at the Trap Fruits kitchen.
Yeah.
Just seeing where all the magic happens,
Yeah.
where all the boxes go out, where the delivery runs go, where the kitchen gets the cooking for all the events and stuff like that. But I think it'd be amazing just to understand how it was all catalysed, how the process all started, really.
Yeah. All right, great. Firstly, thanks for having me. It's an interesting story because it actually happened, or the catalyst for it all was, so I was quite fortunate enough to go to Jamaica on a work trip with Nathaniel, who's one of my best mates, and our swimming club, Swim Dem Crew. And on that trip, every morning I was just eating papaya, I was just eating all of this fruit. I was just eating lots of exotic fruit every single morning. And then I came back from that trip and, I've got a sweet tooth, you know what I'm like. So I'm like, oh wow, I need more of this high, it was like chasing a high. And so yeah, off I went just trying to chase this high, I suppose. And there was one fruit in particular, being the custard apple, or the traditional name is the cherry moya. And that was the one that kind of hooked me in. And I went and I found it in Peckham, and it was like a £5 for one, but I was still buying it. And, I think the beautiful thing was I just wanted people to taste it. I was like, oh, you just need to taste it. So, we would go to like on retreats for Swim Dem, and I would just bring it along and just say, oh, look, just taste it, And I was just kind of doing that for months on end, and I was taking them on dates, everything, and really, honestly, and Lonnie, who's a friend of mine, who actually was 1/3 of the business, he kind of stepped down quite early on, and he said, P, what are you doing? Like, why do you keep buying all of this fruit so expensive? I said, oh, bro, it's nice, man. He's like, okay, look, if you like it, I'll take you to the wholesalers. And so December of 2019. I think it's like December 21st, if I remember correctly.
Get that Christmas run in.
Yeah. Off we went to the wholesalers, and without even knowing it, that was like a research and development trip without even knowing it, really, because, there was no intention to start a fruit delivery company or anything. It was just like, we're just going to go to this market because we just like the fruit. And when we were there, we were high, and we were just chatting absolute shit on Instagram, like chatting so much shit, like, fruit gang, 2020, we're gonna eat more fruit. Yeah, so it was dumb, We were just chatting shit. We were actually just chatting so much shit. So like, even if you go back on the Instagram, you can see like, we're posting in there just chatting shit, but it wasn't. There was no. We were called Fruit Gang first, actually.
Okay.
So then the next day, Beth made an Instagram called Fruit Gang, and then you know, that was kind of the start, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the start. And then, you know, 2020 and the pandemic kind of forced our hand, I think. Well, in a good way as well, because it kind of accelerated things. But, you know, I've also got to give an honourable shout out to Safia Robinson, who's got a company called Sister Woman Vegan, because from that, like, December 2019 and January and February, you know, Bath was kind of getting little bits and bobs, and we were just getting it for our mums and our aunts and stuff like that. And I wasn't too really involved that much, you know. I was like, look, I've got a lot on. I'm not really trying to put more on my plate, sort of thing. And then Safia had, well, Beth signed us up to this thing. Safia had an event, a vegan event, where it was like they had like cooking demonstrations. You know, you could kind of buy food there. It was almost like a mini market and like talks. So she hosted this event. Beth signed us up to it. He didn't even know what it was. He wasn't even in here. He was in Colombia. And I was like, fuck's sake. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to go to that. Fuck that. Because I was like, you're going to be in a room with people who know what they're talking about.
Okay.
Like, you know, you can't bullshit, you know, and I don't really like doing that sort of stuff, you know. So I wasn't really going to go. But then, you know, Safia was like, oh, come on, P. Like, I was like, fuck, man. So yeah, I went to the market on a Friday night. And I thought, all right, P, look. Go to the market Friday night, and for context, it's like a night market. So the market starts at midnight and finishes at 8 a.m.
Which wholesaler is this?
It's in, it's called New Spitalfields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Leighton.
Leighton, yeah. So I went on a Friday night, because the event was on Saturday morning. I thought, look, go to the market Friday night and just have the fruit in your kitchen. If you wake up in the morning and you decide you don't want to do it, fine. But if you decide that you do, at least you've got the fruit there. So I woke up Saturday morning, obviously I went and did it. So I went and it was the first time I had to kind of like pitch what Track Fruits was to a room full of strangers, essentially. You know, so it's quite a surreal experience. Like, everyone was kind of sat around, it sounds weird to say in like Kumbaya-ish, but everyone was sat on hay bales. Everyone was literally sat on hay bales in a circle, and I had to stand up and pitch Track Fruits.
Okay.
And I said, I was just honest. I said, look, we're a new company. I said, look, I don't really know too much about it. I just know that I like it. And at the moment, we're just in South London. And after that, and that was in February of 2020, after that event, I just saw the engagement. You know, I just started seeing like, oh, wow, people are like interacting, people are engaging, people are like interested. So after that day, I took it serious. Like, that was the day. So I always have to big up Safia, because, you know, going to that event and pitching it to a room full of strangers and then seeing the engagement firsthand, I was like, right, I'm in. I'm all the way in. And then that was it. I was locked in. Yeah, I just took it serious all the way from there.
And you think that's because you realised that there were other people that were passionate about basically what you were trying to communicate and stuff like that? Yeah. And there was a gap in the market. There was people like, oh, well, you can facilitate this.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was a gap, and I think I could see it, because I could see that, like I said, there's people that are like, you know, if there's like a sliding scale, there's people on this end of the scale who are like super in it. They're like, they eat, breathe, sleep, shit it, and sometimes it alienates the rest of the world because it's just a core, like niche.
It's like culty almost, or something like that.
A core niche audience, you know.
And you don't want that Kool-Aid.
I don't want that Kool-Aid, you know, and I because I'm not that Kool-Aid, you know. I think I'm more of a, you know, for everyone type of person.
Holistic approach, like it's like this is what I'm doing. If you enjoy that, then like I'm here for you. But like it's up to you to come on.
Exactly. It's all about just, you know, we want to obviously inform and educate, but you also want to be fun as well and engaging. You know, you don't want to be too preachy, which sometimes people on this end of the scale can be. So I kind of noticed that quite quickly. But yeah, so from that day, I just took it serious. I don't think we even had a logo. I think I bought a logo for £35 off you know, those Instagram chances. Yeah, that just, you know, they just send you messages every day. New logo, you want a logo? I said, yeah, it's fine. So I bought a logo for £35. Yeah, that was the first logo. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So that was the start, basically. Yeah. Sorry, I bet it was a long answer. But
no. It was good. It was good. And then obviously you're talking about you're at the market with Bath, and then it's just been catalysed, just mates having a good time.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're running a business with like your best friend and things like that. Like I think a lot of people always ask me, running businesses with my partner and things like that. Obviously, it's a different kind of dynamic of a relationship, but it's still a very integral relationship to your life. What kind of like process has that been, like forming that side of your relationship and stuff like that?
Yeah, I personally think there's pros and cons, you know. I think it is hard, you know. I think I'd have to be honest and say it is hard, you know, because people think, oh yeah, wow, great, you're doing something with your best mate. Yeah, but you know, a working relationship, it's quite hard sometimes to separate a working relationship with a personal relationship, you know, because you've got all of this love for them as a person outside of work, outside of business, and sometimes that can affect how you think about them or how you treat them in business, you know, because there might be like a harsh thing you need to do and sort, and you might be like, oh, you might give a little bit of a benefit of the doubt or something like that, you know. Don't get me wrong, me and Beth have had loads of rows, you know. We've had loads of arguments, loads of fights. But I think as the time's going on, we're kind of understanding each other a bit better because we've never been in this capacity, you know. We've only been friends and like, so, you know, you have fun on a night out, or you're an emotional crutch, or, you know, you're kind of there for each other in that way. But when it's business, it's kind of different. It's a totally different thing. And also we've got different experiences as well. You know, I've kind of been doing, not this, but I've been, I suppose, in a commercial space for quite a long time, you know, and where he's kind of new into it. So that was a bit of a rub as well. Yeah. So it's been difficult, but then I think the pros are that it's like, who better to share the fun, exciting, and the highs and the successes with than your best mate? Like, that's exactly who you want to be, you know? Like, even just quickly circling back to that Jamaica trip that kind of was the catalyst for all of this, you know, I was on that trip with Nathaniel. That's my best mate, you know? It's like, you know, like one of my best mates. And it's like, wow, who better to share this moment with, you know? So I think, yeah, you're going to share the highs, but you're going to share the lows as well, you know? But it is difficult. I wouldn't say to anyone it's easy. It is difficult. It is difficult. But you know, maybe even the rows are the good thing, because you can probably row because you are that close with them. You can just be like, fuck it, and just fucking have it with them, and because you're so close, you know. So
like family kind of thing.
Exactly.
And it probably strives innovation and gets things done a little bit quicker in some respects.
Exactly. You know, because that's exactly what it does, you know, because then someone looks at her, oh, fuck, man, I don't want to fuck up, or I don't want to be, you know, so they kind of walk straight.
And do you think as time has gone on, it has become more clear for like roles and responsibilities within the business and the strengths, like people can actively identify their strengths and weaknesses and like, right, okay, I'm going to run with this. This is my thing. This is, you know what I mean? Whereas before, everyone's just got a bit of an ego, right? And everyone's like, right, I can do everything.
Yeah.
And actually then ironing that out and working all of that out, especially like you said, if someone's not come from as much of a commercial background and stuff like that, understanding how to even, you know, communicate, be on emails, like set up a calendar invites, all of those kind of things. I know it sounds ridiculous, but those are the things in which you need to work through together and things like that.
100%. And I think, it, you know, that word ego that you said, it was there at the start, you know. But I think it's been eradicated. It's been dropped. So, you know, now it's like, okay, look, I know that I can't do this thing, or vice versa, or Beth can say, look, or, you know, hands up, I can't actually do this thing. Look, you know, P, look, can you take care of that or whatever? But it's taken us a while to get there. You know, it's taken us a couple of years to get there. But I'm thankful that we're there.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one of the really interesting things is, which you've alluded to a little bit, you have been within a commercial space, within lots of different projects in your life. But this is your first round working within the food industry. And I'd be intrigued, obviously, for people to understand what an eye-opener that has been for you, and how different is it to other industries in which you've been working within and stuff like that? Yeah,
it's an interesting one, because like you say, I've worked in other different commercial spaces in terms of like advertising and, you know, swimming and loads of other stuff. But yeah, I've never ever worked in the food space. And yeah, it's an interesting one, because actually, first of all, twofold, product and service. You know, product. I've never really worked in anything where it's just solely the product. You know, like when so I have a swimming club, which is kind of how we met, Swim Them Crew, and well, we met at the market actually, but you know, that's kind of what I suppose fostered our relationship, and that's always been a service. You know, it's never really been. I mean, even though yes, it is an LTD business and whatever, it is a company, it's just always been providing a service rather than a product. And in doing Trap Fruits, I was like, oh right, but this is a product. This is completely different. This is like, yeah, this is like perishable goods. This is things that people want to eat and everything like that. So that was a kind of a bit of a code switch or mind switch I had to figure out in my brain. But then even just kind of down the line, when we started doing catering, I was like, okay, now we're offering a service. But I think I quite like the product side and I quite like the food side because okay, look, it's just like when I came to your market and I tasted that burger for the first time, you instantly got to see how that food made me feel. And I got to instantly see that through Trap Fruits and the fruit and everything like that, the joy that it brought people. You know, so whether it would be in a market in King's Cross and I say, look, taste this. And they're like, fucking hell, yeah, that's really nice. Like, that's the best mango I've tasted. I'm like, yeah, I told you. Like, you know, look, listen, this is proper grapes, like, they're massive. I was like, yeah, I told you. You know, so I kind of get joy from seeing their joy, you know, through food, because I like food anyway. So food, and that's how it all started. Food is what brings me joy. I wanted to share that joy, and then now I can see their joy firsthand. So I think I've probably gone around the houses to answer your question, but yeah, I'm quite enjoying being in the food space. Yeah.
And what are the transferable skills in which you've taken from other things that can go into that? And then where are the elements of it where you've been like, this is brand new to me. Like, this is a bit of growth here. Yeah. And I'm struggling at times, you know what I mean?
I think the foundation the foundational transferable skills are just kind of organization, discipline, you know, those kind of things that I've picked up through, not just through working, but even through sport. You know, I think that definitely helped me in my work life, you know. So those are transferable skills, definitely. But also, so I work part-time in advertising and I'm an art director. And so what that means is, so I'm a creative, but I'm an art director in that creative duo. So typically in advertising, you'd have a creative duo, and one would be the copywriter, who is kind of solely responsible for the words and the copy. And then you'd have the art director, who's more about kind of the look and feel, the branding, you know, how's it really going to show up, you know? And so that's my role. And I think one of the transferable skills that I definitely took from that into this space of Trap Fruits is how it looks, you know, the look and feel of the brand, like how it shows up, you know, so all the branding and everything like that, that's something that I took serious, you know, like, no, it's got to be this particular green, or no, it's got to be this particular font, or like, those are stuff that I took really serious, you know, so I would say those are the transferable skills that I brought over to Trap Fruits. In terms of the things that I found difficult, it probably isn't specific to a food business, but maybe more a business per se, is just, you know, spreadsheets and formulas and profit and loss, all of these things. I'm like, oh, I'm like, no, oh my God, you know, but I forced myself to do it, you know, I forced myself to make spreadsheets, and I forced myself to do it, and I was learning, and actually I quite found joy in. So look, a big part of my job is creative problem solving. So I kind of get kicks out of doing that. So I kind of found joy in like, oh fuck, I can't do this thing, and then you do it, like, oh great, you know. Yeah. So my spreadsheets, I've got loads of spreadsheets, and someone would look at me and think, right, I didn't even think P would be that kind of organized and with spreadsheets, but you know, I know that there's a next level. You know, I've got the kind of little formulas here, basic things is working, it works, but I know that there's the next level. You know, I've looked at a profit and loss one before and I was like, Jesus Christ, you know, so like I can do it from like week to week. I know, right, this is what we spent, this is what we do, the formulas talk to each other, great. But then, yeah, like kind of forecasting and looking for like the whole year or the next 6 months, I'm not at that stage yet. I'm not at that stage. And also just like understanding the world of tax. You know, that was one of the goals that I put to myself this year, to become a bit more financial, to kind of my financial literacy, you know, to kind of get better at understanding, okay, this is this tax, this is this, okay, this is how you pay yourself dividends, all of this, you know?
Yeah.
So, because when we were swimming, we paid ourselves via PAYE, you know, so I didn't really do the dividends thing over that side. So now I'm learning all of these things. So, but I've put it to myself like, right, you have to go and learn this thing. Yeah. So I would say that's probably the most difficult part for me.
Yeah. And did that transition and then learning those skills, do you think that then took it from almost creating more of a business mind on it and being like, right, well, we didn't do that this week, and that's because of this.
100%.
Like, it makes it more granular, and you understand the reasons why that particular thing hasn't worked. Or you're like, you know, we went and delivered X amount of boxes this week personally, and that cost us this amount of labour, that amount of thing. Actually, we need to get a distributor to be able to, like, and you know what I mean?
100%. Because even in that spreadsheet, I put billable time. So that was something I learned through working in advertising and all of that, because I would work, and you know, so let's say I was writing on a Maynard's Bassett account. So Maynard's Bassett's, you know, who's owned by Mondelez, they would pay the advertising agency, let's say, £1 million for the year, and say, for that £1 million, we need four adverts, 4 TV ads, and 3 print ads. And then the advertising agency would say, okay, cool. What resource can we put to this? Okay, so we're going to put 2 creatives on it, and we're going to put 2 account people on it, and we're going to put that. And their billable time is this. So, okay, they spent 8 hours a day on it. So, okay, they spent 160 hours on this thing, you know? So then I learned that from there. So then I would put that in our spreadsheets and go, okay, right, packing boxes. I'll put everything. So packing boxes, okay, that's 2.5 hours. Deliveries, that's 3.5 hours. So I'll put all of that in. So I count it as billable time, you know? I'm not saying we pay ourselves just for that, but I just need to know and have an idea and go, okay, well, you know, as well as all the other stuff, administration, I put that, okay, how much time is administration for the week? So all of these things, I learned that from working in those commercial spaces, but I applied it to this. So the spreadsheets are always, it's funny because it's me activating another side of my brain, really, because I'm more a visual person, that kind of side of my brain, but you know, looking at data and looking at these things is almost activating another side of my brain, which I'm quite excited about, because I'm learning, you know. So I'm enjoying it.
Great.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things in which you've sort of alluded to a little bit was, you know, with Safia and like her community and stuff like that, and then they latched on to Track Fruits. And then a community started to rise. I think obviously, you know, you said it was catalysed a lot through the pandemic, or at the beginning of the pandemic. And I think people had a lot of time to look at things that were going on, and also to support fledgling and startup businesses and stuff like that. So I'd be intrigued to know that what's been the journey of nurturing that community and then actually turning them into sales. Because I think what's quite interesting for a lot of people, a lot of food, like for me, I have like sites where people can actively come to. People came to the market, they then know that you're there and stuff like that. It's a very different journey when you're sort of like in the ether. So it's like, you know, I'd love to understand about getting that community, getting it onto a website, the development of the website, and that's a constant like evolving process as well, and like, you know, how, all of those things. So I imagine that's been a real eye-opener. Yeah,
I'm smiling because just even that journey was, you know, when I was talking about, you know, kind of me learning and all of that, that was me, that was physically me using a different side of my brain and learning on the job, you know. So just to kind of answer your question, I think the community aspect of it, I think in us starting, or at least kind of like, you know, showing up in the, like kind of in the pandemic, in the time of pandemic, that was a time when people were pulling together to support one another, you know. So I think that was when we saw community at its kind of fullest, at its best. You know, people were wanting to support each other. You know, someone would go and drop some milk to their neighbor, or drop some bread to someone, or someone would go and do shopping for someone else, or an old lady, or whoever it might be, you know, an old relative. You know, so your mate's got COVID, so you're going to leave a care package on their doorstep, you know. That's when everyone banded together, and we really showed the world what community is and what it means to us, you know. So I think, yeah, it was quite lucky that we kind of arrived at that same sort of time. And in terms of turning the community into customers and that journey, and from the website, so it all started from Instagram. Everything started from Instagram, you know. So it was, and even if you think about Instagram, that's an online community, right? It's like, it's still an online community. So everything started from Instagram. So I would just constantly be on Instagram. Like I said, I work in advertising full time, part-time or freelance or whatever. So I was fortunate enough that I was in between gigs, you know, so I was in between freelance gigs. So that, coupled with the fact that it's a pandemic, I had a lot of time on my hands. So I was on Instagram all day, like literally all day and night, like battering, you know, just the typical tropes, you know, like commenting on somebody's post, doing that, you know, hashtagging, you know, just the typical stuff. And so I was growing the online community that way. But how we got from people from there to the website was a journey, and I'll take you on it. So at first, people would just DM us and say, hey, can I get a box? This is my address. So yeah, fine, you know. And it's quite manageable at that time, because it's like 5 people, 10 people. So it's quite manageable to do that in your DMs. But then when it got more than 10, I was like, I'm losing DMs here. I need to somehow house all of these on one page. So I was like, okay, P, how are you going to do that then? So I was like, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll do a question sticker. So you know, on Instagram, where you can ask a question. So I said, if you want a delivery, just type your postcode here. So they typed their postcode. So then when you look at all your questions, you have it all on one page. So I was like, oh, great, easy. Okay, perfect. So then that worked. And I was like, so then that got more. And then it was like 20. I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a bit long. I was like, okay, what do I do now then? I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll make a Google form. And then I'll say, look, if you want a delivery, fill in this Google form, because the Google form captures the data into a spreadsheet. So then that was like ecstasy, you know. That honestly, that feeling, I don't think I've had that feeling again since, in Trap Fruits. But that feeling was honestly, hand on heart, ecstasy, because people would fill in the form, and I could see the spreadsheet just live populating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because it just like, I don't have to do it. I could just see it populating. And I would go to bed and go, oh my God. And I'll wake up and say, oh, has anyone put more in? And I swear that, like, hand on heart, that feeling was like, oh my God, wow. So that kept happening. So that was actually our system for like, probably like 4 months, 4 or 5 months. And I was like, oh shit, okay, we need to, like, you know, the numbers are getting a bit.
We need to switch it up.
Yeah, we need to switch it up. We need to kind of retain these customers now. So it's like, okay, we need to kind of get them on a subscription model, because they're just paying one off. So like, we need to kind of keep them. So then that's when it was like, okay, we need to make a site. And then went from there to a site. But because I had everyone's details already, I could just email them. I just done like an email, like, it's pretty crude, because it wasn't even on MailChimp. I literally just, it was, when I think about it, I was like, fucking hell, you just love hard work. I literally typed in everyone's email and BCC'd everyone. Yeah, and then they sent out an email. Yeah, that's what I did, bro. I was like, oh my, madness.
I think in the pandemic, people had a lot of time on their hands. You didn't need to be that efficient in some way.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I did, and then that was it. And then the website, it was on, I don't know, I know this might be a further question, but the website was on Squarespace, and Squarespace is not really that good and functional for e-commerce.
Okay.
It's not. So there was lots of different things I had to do so, like, for example, on Squarespace, I had to, so another creative barrier. So on Squarespace, I was like, right, okay, here's all this data, I need to put this data into a spreadsheet, you know? So I was like, but what I was doing was I was manually, each week, every single Friday, I would download the CSV, then upload the CSV to an Excel spreadsheet, and then like clean up all the data a bit. So it's like, okay, I could kind of make sense of it all. But I was like, this is long. This is long. That there's got to be a way of something.
Automating this,
yeah.
yeah.
So then I found this app called, through talking to a friend who works in tech actually randomly, called Zapier. And so yeah, Zapier kind of does that automatically. It pulls the data from Squarespace, and then uploads it into the Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, so then that alleviated one thing for me as well. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey, but like all of these little creative problem issues and solving, I kind of get kicks out of it. You know, you are frustrated in the moment, you're like, for fuck's sake, but once you kind of get over that hurdle and you do it, you're like, oh yes, yeah. So you do get kicks out of it. So that was kind of the journey from taking people from just on Instagram to them being customers that would kind of repeat customers that would come back every month on a subscription.
And the iterations of the website, I imagine, consistently are changing
Yeah,
and moving forward.
So right now,
like
as we're speaking to you now, I mean, I don't know when this will be out, but hopefully we'll have a new site. We'll have a new site by then, because we're moving to Shopify. You know, like that's what it's for. Shopify is for e-commerce. That's where we need to be. That's where we belong. So we're kind of doing all of that now in the background. So hopefully by the end of this month, all of that's live with like, you know, new photography, like, you know, lots of social content, all of that stuff. Yeah. So we're just kind of building all of that in the background, because typically when people start projects, businesses, they kind of do a lot of R&D and all of that beforehand. You know, they do all of their research and development. They do all of this before they even launch and go live, right? We did all of that in the public space because of when we started in the pandemic, it was like our hand was forced. It was like, you either do this now or you don't. It was like, people want this now. People want this right this second. You haven't got time to think about anything right now. You just have to do. And so because of that, all of the R&D and all of this stuff and the trial and error has been happening live. You know, so it's almost felt like we've been chasing our tail, been in a hamster wheel, you know, but that's just kind of the way the cards were dealt in a way. Yeah.
No, but I think, it's like, you know, trying to take off a plane while it's like half apart on the landing strip. You know what I mean? Like building it as you're going.
Literally, you know. So it's only been like, I suppose, 2 years trading fully. So, you know, I'm quite happy for what it's been so far.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. I think, like you said, a lot of people, you created something, that community kind of situation, and they were demanding, and you didn't really have time to be able. It was just like people were asking. You've been like, who wants a delivery? And then it's like suddenly there's 20 people that want a delivery, and you're like, right, okay, and it's like it's just moving. I think it's completely
think on
fair.
your feet. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people sometimes within anything, people look at a situation and they're like, that's an overnight success.
Yeah.
And people actually don't look at the journey that's been on, and actually it's like, I made this amount of mistakes. I ordered 500 boxes that were the wrong size.
So many.
I ordered like this,
many.
and I didn't. You know what I mean? It's like, actually, unfortunately, the way in life in which you actually overcome hurdles is by sometimes making the mistakes. And you can try to alleviate those as much as possible.
Yeah.
So ask your friend in tech, like, what's this thing? What's that? But the thing is, you don't have the time or the energy or whatever to ask everyone everything.
Everyone, you don't.
So it's like exactly.
You just have to get on with it, you know, and that's. But luckily for me, and maybe when, you know, going back to your thing about transferable skills, I think one of the transferable skills is probably that just I'm a doer, you know, and that's not come from advertising, or that's not come from anything. That's innate in me. You know, I could be doing anything, and I'm just a doer. Just do. And learn as you go. You know, one of my mantras that I live by is learn by doing. You know, it's just do it. Just do it. And then, you know, experience will kind of lead the way. Let experience lead the way. You know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing. So I think, again, if you go and circle back, but transferable skills, I would definitely say is I'm just a doer. You know, because a lot of those things, a lot of times I could have just been like, I could have gave up. Really, I could have just. I mean, we've probably not even hit our hardest problems yet, but I could have just like sunk my head in. Listen, it's lockdown. I could have just sunk my head and just like ate popcorn and said, I'm chilling out, man. I'm watching Ozark or whatever. But there's just something innate in me that I can't help but just do, and again, there's pros and cons to it, because my mind's always racing, and sometimes I'm not present. Sometimes I could be on dates, and my mind, I'm not present in the date. I'm thinking elsewhere. So there's pros and cons to it, but I would say one of those transferable skills that really helped Trap Fruits was the fact that I'm just a doer. Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so within a subscription service, I think now, which you alluded to as well, it's about that customer retention.
Yeah.
One of the things in which I've become to understand and come to learn, there's like a formula which is basically customer lifetime value, and the importance of that, and then you have the customer acquisition value. So that's along the lines of, if you've got to spend X amount on Instagram or X amount of time nourishing a community to then get it on board, and there's a ratio for that, because if you're a subscriber to Trap Fruits and you order it 15 times, and you then know after 15 times they're like, actually, I don't need this service anymore. You know what to spend on it. So I'm intrigued to know, with a business like yourself that's not like got a lot of like VC backing, it's completely self-funded, you're growing as you come, you don't have all the money to basically be spending on the advertising space or being able to get out there, and it's a very competitive thing. So how are you holding on to your customers through customer service and retention and stuff like that? What's been your method to that?
Yeah, I think it's been a difficult one. I think holding on to the customers and everything like that. My thing is that we always have to make sure that the product is good. Bottom line, there has to be value in that. Bottom line, they have to know when they taste this mango, they've not tasted mango like this before. Bottom line, when they taste that grapes, they know, nah, they're not tasting. This is not odd box grapes. This is like serious grapes. This is the product. It has to speak for itself. So. Bottom line, I know that. In terms of kind of keeping the customers, I think that's something that we're working on. If I'm being completely honest with you, it's something that we're working on because I know the value in it. I think when you think about our phones, for example, we're in for life with Apple. You keep buying that product, you keep buying it, and that's one thing I always say to Bath and everyone else who's worked with us. I said, listen, build up the brand, and let people buy into the brand. Because once they're in the brand, then you can sell them anything. It doesn't matter. Apple sold us watches. Who the hell told them they can make watches? You know what I mean? Apple can sell us a car, and we probably would buy it. We probably would buy it. They could probably sell us a car, and we probably would buy it because we're in with a brand now. That's it. So that's one thing I know the importance of kind of building that brand and making people feel that they're part of it. That's the reason why I made the shirts in the first place. That's the reason. It wasn't about, I want to make merch and sell merch. No, I made the shirts because then it makes people feel like they're part of something. And guess what? Those shirts that you're wearing is the same shirt that we're going to wear as our staff shirt. So then they feel like they're all part of it. So it wasn't that, the staff has a different shirt to the people. No, we are all wearing the same shirt because we're all batting for the same team. So things like that is what I thought. It was my way of thinking, okay, this is how we keep the customer in and make them feel like they're part of it and make them feel like they're part of something, And but yeah, again, that's something I'm still learning that, because there are more, that's one way of doing it, and my mind's way. But there are more practical ways, like sending out your email blast, checking, all right, what customers have dropped off, sending them an email going, oh hey, so you dropped off, etc. Things like that. So I understand the practical side of things, and actually that is stuff that we're working on in the background anyway. So, I've written it all up, and we're kind of working on all of that in the background. So I wouldn't say I'm there yet, or we're there yet, but it's something that I'm hyper aware of, and it's something that is of importance to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the online thing, that email flow and that email newsletter marketing is like so invaluable, and I don't think people realise the power of it.
Yeah.
And if you are invested in the brand and you can take that people on that journey, it's like they've ordered the box and then they get an email a few days after like, hey, this is Peigh, how was your box? All of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And then also if you're able to create in your website, which you're doing, that like if they haven't ordered in X amount of time, it's just like, hey, just to let you know we're still here.
Yeah.
Why have you cancelled the subscription? And then also learning and having that conversation.
Exactly.
I think that's the difficult thing. But I think also you've done a really, really good thing because you did a lot of activations. You've actually put yourself at music festivals or other places.
Yeah.
So, you know, being able to maybe not do the online advertising and stuff like that, but actually the physical advertising and being like, look, we are a real business, we have a community, we're supporting locals, we're supporting my family, all of those kind of things that I think then also gets people more invested within it.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that, because that's just, you know, my brain works in that way, you know, like, okay, on the ground, like what can we do? Real things. But I know the power and importance of the emails and everything like that. I know it because it works on me. I can get an email from Goodhood and oh, that's a nice tracksuit. Oh yeah. Oh, all right, I'll just buy that. Oh, that's a nice top. Oh yeah, I'll buy that Stussy shirt. It works. It works on me. So obviously, you know, like, you know, I've got a subscription for can you mention other things on it? Yeah, so I've got a subscription to Planthood, and you know, every week they'll send you an email and say, hey, here's your menu for next week, and you just feel like, oh, nice, like, and you feel like, okay, I'm making a decision here. I'm gonna like pick my meals, and then your meals come, and it's like, oh, great, you know. So all of those things are important. I tell you who's really, really hot on it. HelloFresh. Jesus Christ. I'm like, wow. They are, because I had HelloFresh for like a month or something, Mate, inundated. I was like, Jesus. But normally I'd be angry at it, but I was learning. I was like, come on, fuck it, keep emailing me, I don't care. Let me learn, let me see what's going on. It was like, I got an email, sad to see you leave. Got an email, oh, hey, it's Mother's Day. Got an email, hey, here's a new recipe, try this out. Got an email, you know. So I understand the importance of it.
But that goes to that lifetime value. So you've even said, I would imagine that you're probably the average kind of customer with HelloFresh.
Yeah.
They know that they hold someone for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And they know from sending out 4 weeks worth of boxes, they make X amount of profit. So they know to spend X on you.
Yeah.
And then there would be an email thread for you as ex-customer. Whereas someone else might do 6 weeks, and then they know that there's a different kind of thing, and there'll be a different email flow for that person and things like that. But HelloFresh is a Goliath of a company. But like you said, you can still take those little bits and understand those things to be able to put it into yours.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Klarna is like MailChimp as well, which is like a kind of thing in which you can actually segment all of your flows and do all of that and things like that.
So MailChimp, we're
and they integrate with Shopify, which was those great things, and it's learning these things.
Yeah, so many of these, platforms integrate with Shopify. You know, so it's like, it's a no-brainer for us to be on there, because that is the place for e-commerce. It's like, you know, us being on Squarespace was just because I knew how to quickly build on Squarespace. That was it. It wasn't anything other than that, you know. Really, I should have just started on Shopify, but I was just too in the weeds, I think. I was just too in the weeds of everything, you know, so I didn't have time to think. You know, normally my job in terms of advertising is I have a bit of time to think. I have time, I have the luxury, not much time, but I have the luxury of like sitting down, brainstorming and thinking and going, okay, why that? No, that don't work, or that don't work. And, you know, so, but in Track Fruits, I didn't have the luxury of time. I didn't. Yeah.
Also, I just realised, I think I said Klarna, which is the like payment thing. It's Klaviyo. I'm thinking, what am I getting?
That's all right.
The other day, I'm getting a motorbike and I want to do a trip, and I went to go and get all of the like for the jackets and things like that, and the guy was saying, I'd never heard of that service before.
Klarna, yeah.
Yeah, mad.
Bro, it's putting people in debt, man.
Real
That's
talk.
what it is. That's what it is. It's just
it's madness.
Madness. But also, I saw on again, you know, just learning. I saw on Trapstar, so they're like a streetwear brand. I saw that they do Klarna on their website. I was like, wow, they're kind of a bit ahead of the curve, because there's not many people in that space that would put Klarna on their thing, you know? And I know I'm saying about debt and all of that, but...
It reminds me of the catalogue man back in the day.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is.
Knocking at your door, bro.
That's exactly what it is. So now people are Klarna-ing their streetwear clothes, you know? Their tracksuits. And it's like, I get it, it's fucking times are hard, man. Like, it's not easy, you know? But and you want to look good and feel good, you know? But, fuck, I'm like, shit, wow. But, you know, I was like, well, good on Trapstar, you know, because someone can just pay like, what, £10 a month? I don't know how much it is, but, you know, £20 a month or whatever.
And on that, like, do you feel
that you are, as Trap Fruits, solving a problem enough for people that, like, when the price or when cost of living and things like that, do you, like, is that a thought process for you in any way, shape, or form?
It's a very, very, very difficult one for us because exotic fruit's not cheap, but we still want to be affordable. We still want to be, accessible. Exactly. We still want to be accessible, and we still also want the box to be interesting. Because we could easily say, right, all right, we just want to try and make some maximum profit here and just fill it up with just your bog standard fruit. But that's not what we're about, and I wouldn't be happy with it personally. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I've looked at the numbers so far, and I'm in the spreadsheet. So I'm like, okay, we can do it for this. We can just about do it. So, anything else, and like, because you're looking at like margins of like 20p, 30p. Like, before you didn't even think that mattered, but now that matters. 20p matters. You know what I mean? When you're in a big thing, 20p matters. You don't think it matters, but when you're doing volumes, you're like, oh, okay, that 20p matters because 5 20p's is a pound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro, you know what I'm saying? So you're like, oh, shit. You're doing that 5 times, that's a pound already. You're like, no. Yeah.
And when, like you said, when you're talking numbers and you multiply it, adds up quick.
Adds up quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's a difficult one for us, but we're trying to kind of toe that line.
Yeah. I think as well, that sort of leads me on to... You have actually created quite a dynamic business model through the network of people in which you have. Talking about your advertising that you have on the side, the shoots in which you've done, you've actually brought an arm of catering into your business as well, which I think has been able, I'm sure, to be able to allow you to navigate times when maybe the box subscriptions have dropped off
100%.
Or things like that. So talk a little bit like why that's been a really interesting point, and also, it's another arm of the food industry, which I'm sure you weren't aware of before, and how interesting and how challenging that is.
Yeah, okay, so as cheesy as it sounds, when they say your network is your net worth, I believe it. Because now I've seen it firsthand with my own eyes with Trap Fruits. Because I can actually put my hand on my heart and say, really, my network did help me a lot with this, even down to you. If you think about it, you're my pal, you're my friend, you're part of my network. You saw the stress that I was going through with all the boxes in my flat at the start, and you was like, P, look, you could, look.
My unit's not being used.
Exactly.
We've stopped. Our world's stopped. We're not doing catering. Just go and do it at our unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I then understood the power of the network, which again, you could say is your community. That is your community. Those are your people. So Trap Fruits really, 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 really made me understand, okay, yeah, your network is your net worth. Like, that is the most invaluable thing. You can't even put a price on it. You can't even put a price on it. So going even to the catering arm, and yeah, I can be quite frank and say, yeah, catering really that kept the lights on when things were kind of getting a bit bleak, and the boxes were dipping and the world opened up. Catering kind of kept us afloat. And even that came about through network as well, like, a friend of mine, I can big her up, Nicola Surf. She works at Bleach London, and they were doing a shoot, and she just said, "Oh, P, can you bring along some fruit?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "Look, just get some." I think it was like Georgia May Jagger, a few kind of celebrities or whatever. I said, "Look, all I asked for is just get a picture with the fruit or something." And she said, "Oh no, we'll pay you." And I said, "Oh, what?"
We got budget, mate.
Yeah. She said, "We'll pay you." I was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Oh, okay." So brought the fruit along, and but I would have been happy with the picture. I would have been happy with just a photo of a celebrity holding it, because that's currency in itself. I know that's currency. I know that's invaluable. I know what that can do. So they paid us. And I was like, "Oh, okay." But it was just fruit at that time, and then the art director from that shoot loved it so much, that was his first time engaging with it. He's like, "Oh fuck, wow, this is what I want on set." So he went on to shoot, I think it was the Face magazine, Georgia Smith cover, and he took us along with him and was like, "Oh look, can you do this?" And we're like, "Oh great." And then it just kind of started going from there. And then someone told someone, and then it slowly built from there. And then it was at that time. So Ramon, who works with us, Ramon the chef, he was like, "Oh P, we're giving them fruit so they can just have like on set all day to pick at, but they're ordering food. Why don't we just do hot food? Like, I'm a chef, I can make it. I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool, write a menu and let me see it. He wrote a menu. I was like, no, this menu is too elaborate. You know, because he's a chef, so he wants to show off his skills, you know what I mean? So he's talking about all of these things. I'm like, no. We need to strip this all the way back, bro. And so that's what we did. And then, so yeah, it just started from there. And, you know, there was one shoot in particular, and it was a girl that I worked with, again, like at Vice, you know, when I was freelancing, Anna, big her up as well. And she had gone over to Hypebeast as a producer. And she's like, oh yeah, Peigh, like I heard you're doing this like catering thing. And I was like, yeah, we could do it. And that was the one where we had to be on set. So we were cooking on set, live on set. And then I made a reel, for that. And then that reel became our calling card. You know, that was like to get a little bit more business and a little bit more work. And then, yeah, just started going from there really. But we've been quite lucky, fortunate enough that all of it's been inbound and come in. But the next stage now is that we want to go after the business, you know. We want to be a bit proactive and go after it. So, you know, when I'm talking about we're kind of doing a website and doing, you know, all of this content in the background, that would be part of the strategy to kind of aggressively go after that, you know, and aggressively go after our you know, people who had once shopped with us but are no longer here again, you know. Aggressively go after them now and go, right, you know, what, hey, you once with us, you left, whatever the language is that we decide to use, but this is the strategy, this is the plan. So yeah, probably I think by like end of April, early May, we'll be ready, like all guns blazing sort of thing. Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned as well with online business is SEO, so search engine optimization, which I think for me was a big eye-opener. And I think because I've grown up as well with the social media and the Instagram, you know, it is so momentary. And I think someone once said to me that a blog post, I know it feels innate, and you're like, okay, how do I do that? But it's there forever.
Yeah.
And if you create a great piece of content, so you could utilize that reel in which you've got, but then you could, like you've alluded to, it's like, I want people to taste the best mangoes. If you can explain and be like, track where that mango's come from, and do a post that's like, this is why Trap Fruit do the best mangoes you can get.
Yeah.
People then find that, and then they're like, right, and then they go to your website, and then suddenly they've seen it, and it's there forever. So if you create an amazing piece of content that's there forever, it's there.
Yeah.
And that's something in which, for me, I think wrapping my head around in the online business with like On the Table and stuff like that, it took me a long time to get there, because I would been like for the last the last 10 years, I've just been like Instagram. That's where I get it, that's where I feed it. And I think a lot of people as well now have cottoned on to the fact that Instagram, people are just trying to sell something now. I think the authenticity has been removed a lot of the time for a lot of people and stuff like that. So I think, that's going to be a big journey, I think, for you to be able to crack and understand and get on board with and stuff like that. And like you said, we're here to educate. We want to educate people.
Yeah, exactly. And there is power in, you know, like you say, that type of content, you know, like more longer form or more valuable content, let's call it that. You know, content that holds a bit more value. And just other forms of comms, you know, other forms of communication. It's not, yes, a lot of our business came from Instagram, you know, and I could see on the site where the traffic came from. I could see like 8% did come from Instagram, but that's probably because we put 8% of our energy in Instagram. You know, that is literally that. You know, if you put 80% of our energy or 40% of our energy into email marketing or whatever, we would probably see, oh yeah, okay, it's come from email marketing. You know, so. I think, yes, that data is great, and we can look at it and go, right, 8% has come from Instagram, but it's because we put 8% of all our eggs into Instagram. So, yeah.
And that's the thing, it's all about a learning curve, isn't it? And you know, continuously on that journey.
Yeah.
So I think from what we've been speaking about, it's very obvious that there's a little bit more foundational understanding of where Trap Fruits is now as a business and where you want to take it. So it'd be intriguing to know, like, what do you think the future holds for you, or what would you like the future to be holding for you?
Yeah, great question. I think what I'd like for the future to hold is to have product in shops. You know, I think that's like that's the North Star. That's kind of like the end goal. to have like, you know, our own juice, you know, like when you look at someone like Press or Innocent, but I would say we're more, I'd say Innocent because they're like, you know, the language and everything, they're quite fun and everything like that. But I think Press, you know, they're really doing really well, and they're like, you know, they're doing cold pressed juices rather than smoothies. So I'd say we're more like Press, but in terms of how we show up, we're probably more like Innocent. But yeah, those kind of that's kind of the long term goal.
Because that's an element you've not really touched on it. That when you have gone to festivals or other activations, markets and things like that, and also the catering, you do amazing fresh pressed juices and stuff like that. And is that one of the big things in which people really?
Yeah, that's a big pull.
Is that your hero product?
Yeah, that's definitely the hero product, especially when we're out in the field. So when we're out at the markets, when we're out at the festivals, when we go to do cater shoots, the juices, people like the juice, you know. Especially when we're in the markets and things like that. We're like, oh, okay, cool. And again, you know, when I was saying about at the top of the conversation where it's like, oh, you can instantly see the joy that someone gets from something, you know, we would always test. Is like, okay, right, we'll do strawberry lemonade this week, we'll do this, and we could see what works and what doesn't work, you know. Okay, people like mango pineapple, okay, we need to keep doing that.
Yeah.
You know, people like mango and ginger, okay, you can see, okay, through the Izettle, okay, that one done the most, so okay, let's keep that one. Okay, this one, no, nobody liked this one, drop that. Yeah, and then go from there, you know. So the data gives you the answer that you need sometimes, you know. But also people like people. So I'd say the juices, definitely. So that would love to be an end goal, but who knows, you know? It could manifest itself in other products. It could be like just dried fruit snacks, you know, like dehydrate. Because we used to dehydrate, but I don't know, our dehydrator is not in here. But we used to dehydrate bananas and take that to the market, and people are like, oh, nice, and just snack on that. So that could be an offering, you know. I think we're just saying juices now because it's a thing we can see, but maybe we have an array of products, you know, who knows? But that would be the goal, to have product, you know, in the shop, you know, when you're looking at people like, I don't know, man, like McVitie's, that's a biscuit that you're always going to have. You know what I mean? That's a biscuit that's there in your house. When you think of Hovis, that's just a bread that's always going to be in your house. So, okay, so one of the things when I started Track Fruits is that I said that I wanted it to be part of people's everyday buying decision, you know. So when you do your weekly shop, it's just part of it. It's just part of parcel. We just show up, which we're in your house, like it's just normal. So that still remains, but it could be through the juice, or it could be through, you know, the little dried snacks or whatever. So that's the goal.
And I think as well, a lot of people, especially when you're extremely passionate about something and you believe in it, you're like, right, you've even alluded to it, it's like a bit of this, a bit of that. But you started with your single product, which is your fruit. And I think that built traction. And then what you can do is you can then iterate from that. So then you can release another thing that you're like, right, okay, that really catches on. And like you said, it might go that you go to actually a juice subscription service. And it's like you have like different things. And it's like people get their big bottle and that comes, or maybe you do the smaller bottles. Like you have subscription juice cleanses, which people pay hundreds of pounds for a juice cleanse.
Exactly, Josh. You got it. You've got it.
And it's like all of those kind of things. And if you become an educator and you've got great blog posts about like ginger and this does this and these are the proven things, people are like, right, okay, these people know what they're talking about. I'm going to buy a 5-day juice cleanse with Track Fruits, and you're like onto that kind of thing and things like that. But you've got to take people on that journey.
That's it.
And if you can show people that they've got an incredible product, you're using the best mangoes, the best grapes, the best cherries, the best this, you're introducing them, then they feel more confident to go that next step with you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was kind of alluding to about, like, you know, people buying into the brand and trusting the brand and that brand loyalty. And that's what I was trying to get to with Apple, because it's like, we're in now. They've got us. We've got that brand loyalty is there. You know, we'll buy the phone, we'll buy the watch. You know, a phone is £1,000 now. What the hell? Like, what the actual hell? How can a mobile phone be £1,000? How? But we bought it. Do you know what I mean? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But we bought it, you know, and we know that Google's got a better phone than them. We know that Samsung used to do all of their hardware in the Apple phone, but it's just the way Apple communicated to us and the branding, you know? Do you know what I'm saying? Only up until what? I think, 4 years ago, Samsung stopped making their hardware, you know, when they had the massive lawsuit. So it's like, mate, you know, so yeah, I definitely see the power in that, in that. And you've hit the nail on the head. It's like, it can evolve into something else, but you've got to kind of have that single product and take people on that journey.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to have too much of a leap where it's like, what?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it really sounds that for you, it's getting the website onto a more e-commerce platform,
Yep.
being able to use the community in which you've got,
Yep.
and then being able to iterate the product and find out what it is exactly what they want. But you've got a great setup. You've got the kitchen here to be able to do it. You're going out and doing all of your markets and all of those kind of things. You've got the catering. So it seems like you're very, very active, and these things are just going to fall into place.
Yeah, it's just time and work, really. Do you know what I mean? It's just time and work. These things take a bit of time, and
Yeah, I think one of the threads in which I'm trying to get within this series is trying to learn a little bit of people's like hidden gems, where they really like to go to eat, or where that is to maybe share. But also the whole process for this, for me, is to learn something from people and be educated. And I think I've learned a few life hacks from you today. I'd be intrigued to know, like, what is it, and if you could take someone to that place, who would it be, and what would be the life hacks that you would want to learn, or something like that?
So take someone to that dinner and
just sit down, break some bread, and just learn some bits.
Interesting. Do you know what? I would have to say. So okay, first of all, the establishments and places in which I like to eat are quite intimate spaces. You know, I quite like the smaller, intimate, off the beaten track places to eat. You know, like you know, we always used to go to eat at that place in Peckham, Oi Spaghetti and tiramisu, because, you know, and for context for who we're watching this, it's literally
It's a shed.
a shed. It's literally a shed that can fit 8 people in, and the guy's just cooking it there in front of you. He's Italian, it's his thing, he loves it, and I just love that. You know, that's the sort of thing I love. So there's
Taken with a custard apple on a date there.
exactly, bro, exactly that, exactly.
Okay,
and then
great.
also, it is all about the company, really. It is all about the company, you know. And maybe I like those intimate places because, you know, you get to have a chat with somebody, and it's not like loud music and the lights are not all down low and all of this razzmatazz. It's like you can have a chat and it's quite intimate and it feels nice and you're quite close, and so that's probably why I like those places. So yeah, it's definitely, those are the kind of places I like, and it is all about the company. And who would I bring there? I'm going to say this person just because I was randomly reading something. I'm going to say Levi Roots. Just because I was recently reading just about his journey and about his whole Dragon Den experience, and, you know, he kind of gave up like 40% equity in his business. And, you know, I think if you say that to anyone, they'll be like, what, 40%? I'd never do that. Like, you know, that's fucking mad. Like 40%, what? But then, you know, if you think about where his business is and what he's got now, it's like, well, actually, you know, would you dare? And he actually said this quote, and I was like, fuck. He said, would you rather 100% of a grape or 10% of a watermelon? And I was like, oh, bro, I hear that, you know? I hear that. So I would say I'd love to just have a chat with him, you know, because he's someone who's, you know, was making his little thing, and then now, you know, not a little, it's important to him, but, you know, on terms of scale, it was quite small. You know, he went on Dragon's Den, and that kind of accelerated his business, and, you know, he's in shops, you know, like Levi Roots is a thing that's in the shops. It's probably been on our shelves for maybe like 10 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? That for me is great. That's good business, you know. Obviously I don't know his numbers and all of this, but, you know, who wouldn't want to be on the shelves for 10 years? You know? Yeah. Like, so I would definitely say I'd love to have a conversation with him, really, yeah.
I think as well, you know, he came into the den, I remember it, with a guitar. What was it? It was like So Nice I Had to Name It Twice. I think that was the song. Yeah. And like, you know, he sold the brand, he sold a cultural element to people. Yes. Like, is the sauce the best sauce? Yeah. There's a lot of people that would say, my mate makes this sauce, it's better, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Yeah. But he galvanized people to understand a cultural element in which they, and you know what I mean.
So I'd love to have a chat with him. It's funny, interesting. I say that because one of my friends, Bex, who I grew up with as a kid, she's got a really good, again, an e-commerce business, and she's someone I look to, and she inspires me. It's called Breakfast. So she does these breakfast pots. You know, she's doing crazy numbers, and what helped accelerate her business is that Levi Roots did like this. like this fund, you know, where he was helping small businesses, and she won it.
Wow.
Yeah, and that accelerated her business like tenfold. And so I'd have to big her up because I love what she's doing and I love her business and she inspires me. I think I always say to you that you and Lucy inspire me, just with what you've done with both of your businesses and the lives that you lead. I know it's not easy. Like you say at the start of the conversation, like, you're kind of in business with your partner. I know it's going to be hard, but the lifestyles that you guys have is great. And it's like, oh, this is exactly what, you're the architects of your own life. And that's exactly what I'm trying to be, and I don't think I'm far from it. I think I kind of lead exactly the life I want to be leading, actually, to be honest. But I would love for my business to do good numbers and be like what you guys are doing. I'd love it. I'd love that. I definitely put you two as my inspirations.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Mate, I've really, really enjoyed this.
No,
it's been perfect.
same. This has been a nice one.
And it flowed
really,
perfect.
Yeah, that's been a really nice one.
Great.
Really nice. Yeah.
Mate, I love that.
Lovely. Thank you, Josh.
Mate, that was great.
Oh, got a sore bum.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of Service Please. If you could tell one other person about this podcast, or even use their phone to like, follow, and share, it will be much appreciated. You can also go one step further and become a patron of the podcast via www.serviceplease.io. Any monthly contributions will help amplify the voices of the hospitality and wider food industry, enabling more people to understand the innovations and daily struggles of one of the most dynamic sectors, and of course, the tastiest.